نکته غیر قابل انکاری وجود دارد و اون این است که جریان تکفیر و حکومت‌هایی که پشتیبان و حامی آن هستند کاملاً در جهت نیات استکبار و صهیونیسم دارن حرکت میکنن. کار آنها در جهت هدفهای آمریکا و دولت‌های استعماری اروپا و رژیم صهیونیست است. شواهد این معنا رو قطعی می‌کند. جریان تکفیر ظاهر اسلامی دارد اما عملاً در خدمت جریان‌های استعماری و استکباری و سیاسی بزرگی است که علیه دنیای اسلام دارن کار میکنن. شواهد روشنی وجود دارد. از این شواهد نمیشود گذشت. من چند تا از این شواهد رو ذکر میکنم. یکیش این است که جریان تکفیر توانست حرکت بیداری اسلامی را منحرف کند. حرکت بیداری اسلامی یک حرکت ضد آمریکا، ضد استبداد، ضد دستنشاندگان آمریکا در منطقه بود. حرکتی بود از سوی عموم مردم در کشورهای مختلف شمال آفریقا که علیه استکبار بود، علیه آمریکا بود. جریان تکفیر این حرکت عظیم ضد استکباری و ضد آمریکایی و ضد استبدادی رو تغییر جهت داد به جنگ بین مسلمانان، به برادرکشی. خط مقدم مبارزات در این منطقه مرزهای فلسطین اشغالی بود. جریان تکفیر آمد این خط مقدم را تبدیل کرد به خیابان‌های بغداد و مسجد جامع سوریه و دمشق و خیابان‌های پاکستان و شهرهای مختلف سوریه و اینا شد خط مقدم مبارزه.
So what we see here is Khamenei, who in his speech says is commenting on the Arab Spring movement and what has been happening in the Muslim world. There was a period of unification, but the Arab Spring put everything together. It is a movement of westernization, supporting Zionism, so supporting Israel, supporting the United States. And very much like enemy thinking. It's really us against them, and we need to stand up and safeguard the revolution. So it's a much more radical sound that we hear from Khamenei than what we hear from Rouhani. He is much more into dogmatic Shia Muslim of a Shia Muslim conviction than Rouhani. So these two people together control most of the country of Iran. Khamenei we hardly see in the international media. Only his face. We hardly hear his speeches. We hardly listen or maybe care to listen to what he is saying. It's not really picked up on the media. The media focuses very much on Rouhani in newspapers, in interviews, etc. But we need to understand that Khamenei is in charge of the military, is in charge of the Revolutionary Guard, is basically is controlling the daily life of Iran, still very much in control. So when we look at Iran, we should not only look at Rouhani, but also at where some of the real power in Iran lies.
What do you say? What infidel? What does this mean?
Infidel is the people who do not believe, the people who are non-believers. So in the Muslim religion, basically you adhere to one God, and the infidel basically are your enemies. Actually, what he's referring to are here mainly infidel could be people from the United States or from Israel, but he's mainly appealing to Sunni Muslims. Mainly appealing to Sunni Muslims. Yes, this is a speech that he delivered to fellow Shia leaders in the world.
Takfiri means Sunni Muslim.
Yes, in this case, yeah. Basically, takfiri literally translated means the non-believers. So basically, you have the believers and non-believers. It's very simple. It's black or white. Yeah. So this is the situation in Iran. Iran has played a media offensive, and they play a role in fighting against IS. And they have put military power, trying to chase IS out of Iraq. They have, through their ties with Hezbollah in the West, they are fighting in Syria. So Iran basically has become an ally with the United States. And Israel is very concerned because Israel is one of the enemies of Iran, and very, very clearly enemy of Iran. We heard Khamenei speak about Israel and Zionism. Zionism is the idea of creating an Israeli state. And so Netanyahu gave a speech in Congress, just like Abe did recently, and he's commenting on the possibility of a nuclear deal.
Iran's regime is as radical as ever. Its cries of death to America, that same America that it calls the Great Satan, as loud as ever. Now this shouldn't be surprising, because the ideology of Iran's revolutionary regime is deeply rooted in militant Islam. And that's why this regime will always be an enemy of America. And don't be fooled. The battle between Iran and ISIS doesn't turn Iran into a friend of America. Iran and ISIS are competing for the crown of militant Islam. One calls itself the Islamic Republic, the other calls itself the Islamic State. Both want to impose a militant Islamic empire, first on the region and then on the entire world. They just disagree among themselves who will be the ruler of that empire. In this deadly Game of Thrones, there's no place for America or for Israel. No peace for Christians, Jews, or Muslims who don't share the Islamist medieval creed. No rights for women, no freedom for anyone. So when it comes to Iran and ISIS, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy. The difference is that ISIS is armed with butcher knives, captured weapons, and YouTube, whereas Iran could soon be armed with intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear bombs. We must always remember, I'll say it one more time, the greatest danger facing our world is the marriage of militant Islam with nuclear weapons. To defeat ISIS and let Iran get nuclear weapons would be to win the battle but lose the war. We can't let that happen. The greatest danger.
Okay, so Israel is terrified, and which is understandable, because United States has shown throughout history that they're changing favors depending on the immediate objectives and the power balance in the region. So they are terrified and say, okay, well, we cannot make a deal with Iran, even though it's important to beat ISIS. This short-term objective will ultimately bite us, because basically Iran is just as much as a threat as IS is. They're both our enemies. So we cannot let Iran have nuclear weapons, because ultimately in the long run, when they have nuclear weapons and they are a militant Islamic state, then they could become a threat to the world. And we saw the reaction in Congress that they were applauding, but ultimately they actually sorry.
Time is up.
Time is up? Ah, okay. But ultimately they agreed with lifting the sanctions of Iran. Nuclear agreement was reached last month, and what does this nuclear agreement? What is this nuclear agreement? So it means that United States, the UN, the international authorities will have access for inspections. And number two is a 98% reduction of stock in low enriched uranium. And number three is to increase lead time. And this is very important to understand, because actually it has not been proven that Iran has nuclear weapons. It's actually assumed that Iran probably does not have nuclear weapons at the moment. They only know how to make it, and they have the infrastructure to make it. The only thing that this deal actually brings is that it makes the lead time, the time to produce nuclear weapons, longer, because it addresses makes it just instead of 1 year, make it last maybe 2 years or more than 2 years to actually develop nuclear weapons. Because once you know how to do it, you cannot undo that knowledge. Basically, this agreement makes sure that Iran cannot develop nuclear weapons in the short run. In exchange, there's lifting of the sanctions of 7 billion, totally worth $7 billion US dollars. So this agreement is very significant, and it is the start of new relations with Iran. Now, the question I would like to ask you is, having seen everything, or having seen the history of Iran, the current situation, the two faces of Iran, is what does this mean for Japan? We see a picture of Komura together with Rouhani shaking hands heartily, but is Iran really an opportunity for Japan, or should they better wait or be hesitant, or what should the attitude of Japan be towards Iran now the sanctions are lifted, now that they can engage in trade relations with Iran? What is your opinion? That's the question. Would anybody care to comment?
I have a couple of Iranian friends, and they left Japanese through, Oshin. Oshin is so Oshin is very popular in Iran. So they respect Japanese people. So maybe we are not like U.S. or Japan, more like friendly, have trust from Iranian people. So we should use that.
But how did these people come to Japan? When did they come to Japan?
I met them in the United States.
I see. Because a lot of the people in Iran we meet overseas are refugees from the 1979 revolution. Those are people who were well educated. They are most of them are highly successful in overseas, in the United States, in Europe. I know quite a few Iranians whose parents or they themselves have fled Iran. But those were basically the elites that had good positions under Pahlavi, the last Shah. but who had to leave the country. I don't know how well their way into Iran would be today, given the total opposite leadership of Iran at the moment. So I don't know if those Iranians could help us to get into Iran.
What is the second question? You have two questions there.
So the positive attitude towards Japan.
Yes.
At the time of after the revolution, they not coming to Japan. Those people, refugees, going to the States from Europe.
I understand from my wife that there are quite a few Iranians in Japan nowadays, less than before. But if you look back 10, 15 years ago, there was a large group of Iranians living in Japan. So yes,
They were.
Yeah, that time they had some, more, easier condition of a visa staying in Japan. So there are many, and I remember in Ueno or somewhere, some places.
were those people who fled the country in 1979, or were those refugees from Iran that came here for political asylum?
No.
Refugees or
Those business people. And,
I see.
They're very good at the second-hand car business, exporting business. And so.
Ashram?
No.
Ashram? So take some.
A lot of Iranians sells telephone company in the 1980s. Later, 80s.
Oh, telephone cards.
Yes.
Oh.
illegal telephone call.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Yeah.
Telephone card?
Fake.
Fake telephone cards. At the time when making an international telephone call was still very expensive. I see.
Last week, the Deputy Minister of Japan went to Iran to recover their relationship. But problem is, past 20 years, they lost relationship with Iran. So after revolution, before that they had a lot of investment, especially oil refinery in Iran, but not anymore. So they do not have, Japanese people, they do not have any relationship with Iran anymore. But also they none of Japanese people involved in Iran nuclear deal, right? So they cannot get any advantage from Iranian government. But still they try to be established with the Iranian government. But I believe this is in vain. How do you think?
Well, the opportunities, if you look at it from the standpoint of Iran, where would you like to establish relations? Probably in your largest potential markets, China, United States.
Oh, China is also, he is a very strong member of Iranian deal, right? Russia and also they're heavily involved in the Iranian deal. So they already a lot of investment China done. And oil refinery?
Well, actually, this is something that Iran shares with Russia. Now that you mention it, like both Russia and Iran need higher oil prices, and Saudi Arabia has been keeping the oil prices low, which is very much hurting Iran as well as Russia. So they have a shared interest to intensify ties. So it will be very much welcomed by Russia that the sanctions have been lifted.
Oh, Russia is let Iranian oil production increase, right? Very few slack, right?
Yes, but Iran doesn't, because Iran is not as easy to produce oil as Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia can easily dominate the oil market because for them they have the highest efficiency in oil production. So they want to have a low oil price, large volumes. They can sustain, but they're severely hurting their neighbors.
But this case, Iranian sanction were going to be eliminated. Even the sort of rumors on the surface, oil market will easing, right? Oil prices down. as soon as Iranian
But
sanctions.
Iran cannot do that much because basically, as long as Saudi Arabia keeps the faucet open, it's not that Iran can just reduce oil production or something like that. Basically, they will add and basically put even more downward pressure on the oil price, the global world oil price. So I don't see how Iran, through these lifting of these sanctions, could actually do something for the world oil price.
Iran doesn't care oil price; they need money. So they try
Yes,
to-
so that means that they are going to also add more oil to the
Well,
market.
yeah,
And more oil means that even more downward pressure
Yeah,
on
they
on
don't
oil.
care.
Yeah.
they need money.
They need money.
And they also, they need technology for the Western countries.
Yes.
Not only, from Russia, not only from China. They need Japanese technology,
Yes.
and marketing technology know-how. So then, Japan can contribute so much in Iranian issues to make them stabilize more.
Actually, the attitude on the streets of Iran, the normal people, are quite positive. If you read comments of people who visit Iran, you almost always hear the same comments about people are so surprised about how pro-Western people are. Like women, they wear veils, but they also they are a majority in universities. They take positions against all odds, like relatively high positions within society. They dress Western. They listen to Western music. So there is absolutely a very positive attitude to what's happening in the West. So the people, the regular people, I'm not talking about Khamenei and the religious groups, but the regular people have a very positive attitude towards the West. So as a market, definitely, I think there is an opportunity.
So actually, we need to understand that they are already middle income country.
Yes.
So that the average is more than higher than $5,000 and also they have lots of diaspora network in the world.
Yes.
And in particular, in the United States, there are lots of intellectual people there, and lots of rich business people in Wall Street, and also academicians in Washington D.C. And so then those diaspora network, I think they pressurize the United States, White House.
So like are you talking about like a Vietnam?
So then
Like Vietnam.
Like China with the Chinese, they also have an extensive network of Chinese.
Oh sure,
Yeah.
oh sure.
Yeah.
But it's some people they mention to the comparison with North Korea issue in terms of nuclear proliferation issues. But I like to focus on Iranian people's network in the world. So then it's different from other side of Asia. So then we need to think. Japan should think about how to contribute to Iran and also the Middle East, stability,
Oh, you
regional
mean
stability.
Japan? Do you think that Japan has
Yeah.
some relationship with Iranian people?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Pardon? Sorry.
Do you think the Japanese people have some relationship with Iranian people?
Yeah, actually, at the past we have them.
But 20 years
as you
ago,
said,
right?
As you said, Azerbaijan, IJPC, we had and stronger ties with Iran, but we have been pressurized by the United States.
Before, right?
By the United
no
States,
doubt.
we have been pressurized strongly. So
No
that
doubt.
we don't have any good connection with Iran. But we need to restore the relation with Iran. So Iran is a key country who has bigger influence on Middle East now. Past 10 years, they have been expanding their power, Shia network, Shia connection. through the Iraq and the Syria, as you said, so that they have some more influence than the past. That,
So
that
you're-
means
you're-
U.S. needed to restore.
So you're very positive towards the opportunity of Iran and the significance of Iran.
Of course.
So Japan should actually act on that. Can I add another angle to that? Because Shia is only 20% of the Muslim world. 80% of the Muslim world, the infidel, are Sunni Muslims.
That's an interesting point.
So would intensify ties with Iran, basically enabling, strengthening Iran, would that not estrange the rest of the Muslim world? Would that not actually would it not be shooting your own foot if you would strengthen your ties, would strengthen the ties with Iran?
So then it's very important point.
I think current situation is very similar to Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam, I know several billionaires living in Vietnam, and those people came back from the United States to Vietnam, and they have a lot of many companies home, and they got a lot of advantage from the current government. And the same situation, just he said, Iranian people, very similar situation. Many people from the States are coming back to Iran and make investment in Iran. And sort of situation will going to happen. But also the other question is before revolution, British Petroleum heavily involved in Iran.
Yes.
And still they have a strong relationship with Iran, and they eagerly to coming back to Iran. And currently the investment is British Petroleum, but also China Petroleum, CNPC, and both companies get involved in Iran, right? So Japan is nothing happened so far. And you just future of Japan, it's just, I told you, we lost, but still Japan have a lot of import from Iran, Iran crude oil, even though under restriction, sanction. But I believe beforehand we have very strong relationship, mutual trading, a strong relationship with Iran, but not anymore. So everybody already retired, and no relationship. So I believe this is very difficult to follow on British and China, and involving Iran, and advantage for the oil development, even though Japan has technology. This is my vision. But as you said, Iran is Shia, not Sunni. I think
also they are proud of themselves. They are Persian. They are better than Arab.
Yes.
Oh, Persian.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So as a member, this is a very important element. Indeed. So Persian is not it is Muslim. But, it's not Arab.
Yeah.
You mean Arab, right? Arab, Persian.
No, the people,
Persian
people proud of themselves.
Yeah.
So they think their historical
Superior
tradition is much longer than Islam itself.
Yeah, and also he is Iran is trying to dominate the Middle East because Assad will follow Iran, and also which country
Isn't that another reason they respect Japan? Japan is also different from other Asian countries. So I don't know, but
You mean some relationship with Iran?
they think Persian is different from others. And they see Japan is somewhat different from other
Oh,
Asian.
by the way, Iran is very strong, confident to dominate Middle East because Syria is also belonging to Iran, right? And Iraq is belonging to Iran, right? Afghanistan is just independent, but still no power. And Saudi Arabia is just only 26 million, and their power is getting, and also to struggle. Yemen is Iran supporting for Yemen, right? So Iran is obviously trying to dominate Middle East, right?
Iran is trying to dominate, and this is very much to the dismay of Saudi Arabia, who has long been a loyal ally of the United States. Basically, United States, Saudi Arabia have always been on the same hand. But
Actually,
what the United States has been doing is they have been strengthening Iran through their involvement in Afghanistan. They helped Iran through their involvement in the Iraq War. They helped Iran because basically now there is again the Shia
Are you talking
majority.
about Iran-Syria war?
No, I'm talking.
Iraq war?
I'm talking about the invasion of the United States and overthrowing of Saddam Hussein, who was a Sunni leader. But now we have a Shia majority. The Shia majority is dominating Iraq. So all of a sudden, Iran has come to the border. There was like a natural boundary separating Iran and Saudi Arabia. But all of a sudden, Iraq has become Shia, and it has become very close. And they're very much concerned what's happening because, like in western part of Saudi Arabia, there are a lot of Shia. And this is where the oil fields are, and it's only just across the border. So Saudi Arabia is very angry with the United States because they have completely changed the balance of power within the region. So they are now actually exploring options to side.
And also Iran support Yemen, so Houthi. So Saudi Arabia will go to losing power in the Middle East. So America is just retreating, and also so that reason Iran will go dominant in the Middle East, followed by Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan.
But in sheer numbers, there's still only 20%, and what was already mentioned was a very important element. Basically, what is the future of Iran? Is that in the Middle East, is it actually eastwards? I think based on history, the future of Iran is much more focused eastward than westward. This is just like an uphill battle they are fighting. They have much more of a positive attitude in eastward of Iran than westward of Iran, based on their cultural and ethnic background. It's much closer to the east than to the west.
Oh, really? Iran?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, you have example of Afghanistan. So Iran is now they think highly of the stabilization of Afghan, and so then they have some cooperation of their human resources development of Afghanistan, and also they try to make stronger ties with India.
Yes.
So then that is Turkey's policy of Iran nowadays. They have some expanding their wing to the east.
So the future of India, of Iran, is indeed in the east, whereas Khamenei, who still has a very strong religious agenda, is more contesting the hegemony of the Shia religion in the region, whereas I think that the majority of the common people are more interested into facing towards the opportunities eastward. So in the years to come, I expect that Iran will face away from the Middle East and settle in the eastern region and expand their influence over there.
But we need to concern about the Khamenei's what kind of decision they will going to, especially for Iran deal. Do you think he will going to open the inspection for Westerners for nuclear site? I think this is unbelievable. They're going to open for the Westerners inspection people.
Well, actually, I think they will, because I don't, and it's not only I who thinks that, but in general, it's almost understood that Iran doesn't have the capacity to develop a nuclear weapon. It doesn't have a nuclear weapon, but they have very little to hide. They have very much to gain. This was a bargaining chip for them, and they used that bargaining chip to lift 7 billion in sanctions.
But you know, this is Khamenei is always his attitude is anti-America. So his attitude is never open to Westerners. So this is he just control Revolution Army, right?
Yes.
And at least he never opened to Revolution Army military side, especially developing nuclear power plant. Do you think so?
I think they needed Khamenei, for example, to use the nuclear threat as a bargaining chip internationally, as a like a sign of power of Iran. Just show off the fact that we have a nuclear weapon. Israel, be careful. United States, be careful. We really matter. But the popular vote of Iran has put a lot of like power also in the hands of Rouhani. And I think it's basically Rouhani who won a kind of political battle with Khamenei to actually get this nuclear deal done.
But Khamenei is more powerful than Rouhani.
Yeah, but also the election result was briefly touched upon. Was overwhelming.
Khamenei is, as you know, he is very strong negotiator, I believe, because he was 1981 president, right? And what he's thinking about, okay, Westerners exclude except America, they never give up any sanction. Already sanction is gone. So even if American Congress will prohibit to stop sanctions, it doesn't matter. Westerners, the other Western countries, including Russia and China, they are going to stop sanctions. So sanctions were going to be stopped anyway, even though American Congress will not approve for those sanctions. So Khamenei is considered for sort of, even though they were going to not open every, nuclear power site, but the sanctions were gone. So they just Khamenei thinking, this is what's going on. It is going on. They never opened any nuclear power development site open to the Westerners. I don't think so. Still, they have strong confidence the sanctions will going to be over.
I think that they have very little to hide, actually.
Like Putin is the same. Okay, we're going to open everything, but he never do that, right?
I think that Putin probably has more to hide than Iran.
It's politics. Politics always politics. It's honest. If you're honest, Japanese is honest. Okay, Japanese is honest. We open. But Russia or Iran or whatever any other country is never honest. Okay, sanction is over. It is over. We open everything, but never open. This is usually politics, is it? How do you think?
I don't know.
You're Dutch, right? You're not Japanese. You have a question. I think this is my.
Who would be actually against Japan establishing ties with Iran, based on what you've seen, what you've heard, what you know? Who would be in favor of actually maybe siding with other countries, like, for example, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, other North African countries? They're all Sunni countries. Nobody.
Yeah. So actually, that was the scenario we expected about the nuclear deal was Saudi Arabia's nuclearization against Iran, and also the stronger hostility of Israel. So those are the worst scenario. So then so Pakistani nuclear was called as Sunni nuclear.
Yes.
And so then now Iran tries to have a Shia nuclear. Right? Then when nuclearized Iran emerged, so then Saudi Arabia would make a lease from Pakistan or something like that.
To get nuclear weapons from Pakistan. They have the money.
Arabia, but America never allowed them to do that. America.
Yeah, but Saudi Arabia and America, Saudi Arabia is no longer listening very attentively to what the United States.
Give them sanctions. Stop exporting oil.
And so those was a scenario would stimulate other countries such as Turkey or the other Turkey or Egypt or so those nuclearization possibility was there. And it's now it's much better scenario we have, but still the confrontation of these two factions, so that Iran keeps sort of strategic ambiguity
Yes.
for the future.
Yes, because unfortunately this is a better situation. But how stable is it? If we give too much power to Iran, it will upset the rest of the Arabic world, and that could lead to other conflicts. It's only 20%, and again, if we put too much power in the hands of a smaller group, it will lead to reactions, and so that is I think it's kind of a good.
Now can you speak English? No, a little. He's expert for this area.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I sent
Yes.
Really? He's very expert for this area, especially military or nuclear power plant or something.
Yesterday we had a brief conversation about what are the two faces of Iran.
He's very expert. He knows everything about Japan defense force and also the relationship with Iran, oil. He knows that. But I don't know he can speak English or not.
I think so. You can speak English.
in my opinion, I see the U.S. in my opinion, there are real reason for U.S. U.S. neocons threat countries is now Islam countries, but from now the neocons threat countries changed to Russia and China. So, in my opinion, U.S. would like to
You said neocon change their mind? Neocon change their mind?
Yeah.
Supporting Iran?
Neocons.
Neocon is formally they are against Iran, right? Now is they support to Iran? Really?
They strongly, still, they have a sense of hostility, in the parliament.
Neocon.
Not only neocon, but many Republicans still they have strong concern against Iranian nuclear.
In my opinion, neocons, the threat countries changed to Russia and China. So the U.S. neocons would like to weaken Russia and China.
What means with the Russia and China? How about Iran?
So they make Iran not enemy.
Oh really? Different opinion. He just tried to doing business with Iran.
China relationship between China and Russia. Now that China and Russia are going to be close to the then so therefore officially they are against, but in the background they want to.
So they American neocons switching from.
In terms of Myanmar, we can say something like that. But in this case, we need to look at the U.S. Parliament in September. So we need to see. Take some time.
He said, okay, instead of Russia and China switching neocons switching to Iran, more closer tie. I don't know. I didn't know that, but he said.
So still, they have some sense of hypothetical enemy of U.S. as one of enemies as Iran. So still, they have a strong.
Oh yeah, of course.
Republicans.
That's the reason every day Obama make a speech to.
So that Obama is ready to use the veto power against the parliament. So then majority of the Senate is Republican. And
But
so
how do you think about Congress? How do you think about American Congress?
Among the U.S. decline, U.S. threat is the rise of the Russian forces and Chinese forces, and for EU countries now EU countries depend on Russian energy. Russian energy. So they want to depend on Iran energy, Iran oil.
You mean EU?
EU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, EU is quite positive about that. So then they are very, very
Do you understand?
maneuver moving into it.
This is basically, I mean, and I don't know much about that. You know what? If he says that the US, that he, on the other hand, he wants to change his position, right? So then, how about the Iran side? Do they accept?
What mean?
No, I mean, I agree with they. It's I just feel like now that he was talking about the position of the United States, they want to change his position against Iran.
Now, after the economic sanctions, they are very poor. They are very poor. So, Iran government and Iran peoples want to just a moment want
lift sanction.
Lift sanction.
So do they want to have a good relationship with the States? Because of the history, because I just learned the history of the between them and like they, if I were them, I can't trust because they just changed their face to face,
Absolutely.
So they are just maybe now United States because of the China and Russia they want to go to the Iran.
So there's the United States. They have this kind of pivot idea, right? So to bring because it's going to happen in the Pacific region. So the economic gravity is shifting towards the east. So the United States want to protect their interests over there, bring forces away from the Middle East and into the Pacific. So this pivot strategy is something that's going. So they need more or less stability. So this kind of peace offer, as we would say, it could be indeed an attempt for the United States to more or less free their hands in the Middle East and move out. Do the Iranians believe in the United States? If I were Iranian, I would be very doubtful. But I would also be, because, and this is also the reality, 80%, well, this is a figure I just come up with, but a large majority of young people who never went through the revolution of 1979, who are confronted with a situation where they are suppressed in expressing their opinion. Women do not have equal rights, but there is a very positive attitude towards westernization and more freedom, etc. So this force, without the burden of the pre-1979 period and without a lot of awareness of what's happening with the United States, basically rhetoric for them is probably in the advantage of the United States. Just time has passed, and they're still doing a lot of things that are geopolitically very questionable. So is everything around them. So what's the alternative?
I have another question. Is there any negative relationship between China or Russia and Iran in the past? Maybe those people don't have a much, I don't know, this is just, I would like to know history, because I just learned the history between Iran and the States, right? But how about, the history between Russia,
Well, Russia,
Soviet,
So Soviet Union obviously occupied Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So there is a very bad relationship
Yeah.
based on that. So Russia and Afghanistan and Iran are not friends.
Not friends.
No,
So,
not at all.
so they're sort of the same situation.
Yes.
Russia and Iran had war, some strife or something?
So
Really?
Iran supporting Afghanistan, but
Afghanistan.
when Soviet Union occupied Afghanistan,
1979.
yeah. So they are not friends either.
Okay,
And actually, really, Iran doesn't have a lot of friends. From a religious perspective, they are a little bit isolated. Well, not isolated, because Shia Muslims are not only within Iran, but only in Iran the majority was actually ruling the country. In Iraq, there was a Shia majority, but it was ruled by the Ba'ath Party, which is a Sunni country. There are some other countries, but not Bahrain, for example, who also have a Shia majority, but was not Shia-led. So Iran was very much isolated and really was kind of like a play ball in the region, even though they were big, they were a significant power. But I think when it comes to friends and enemies, Iran had to change faces quite frequently in order to survive and sustain.
Yes, and can I make one comment?
Yeah.
Very short comment about the. It's about the business of Japan. 2 weeks ago, Iranian embassy here, they had the automotive industrial seminar for Japanese people.
Oh yes.
To lure Japanese money into Iranian market, in particular automotive and automotive parts. So then it's very 70 people were there, and so then it's full of the whole of Iranian embassy, and so then it's very active atmosphere they have. And so then their component makers in particular, they are very positive about the jumping into Iranian market. And so then now it's in terms of the scale of the market, how many? 1.5 million cars annually. So that means in the world ranking, it's a 12th or 13th ranking of the market. So then it's big. So
Yes.
and they have 80 million people there nearly.
Yes.
So then in the future it will be big. So then they are very positive, and so it takes to lift the sanction practically 4 months or 6 months more. It's up to so U.S. Parliament's argument would be influencing on the timing, but it will be. But interestingly, component makers there. So then, but Toyota or Nissan, those major automotive makers were not there because they are concerned about the United States market. If they touch on, they show that some presence of those famous assembly makers in the Iranian market, it would stimulate United States congressmen, United States politicians. There are lots of, in particular, Toyota bashers. So they don't like to stimulate these politicians of the United States, so that they keep, they hide, their face, and so that, according to some people, Toyota doesn't like to expose the name of even Toyota Tsusho in Iran. So that Toyota Tsusho, interestingly, they use the name of Tomen Tehran office. Tomen, they merged Tomen, so that they use the old name in Iran. So then that is the situation now.
But car parts were part of the sanctions, right? So this is part of the what was lifted based on the nuclear deal.
They can easily,
The most popular car in Iran is that takes 100% Dacia.
Yeah. So then that is a local maker.
Yeah.
They have all the industry there? All the industry there?
South Korean Kia Motors, and also French. Peugeot. Yeah, some French.
So actually there's a relation between Dacia and Peugeot.
Yeah. So that means, but those all are CKD. It's not the direct investment. They just import the knockdown components into assembly. Because they need the money and technology of Western side now.
Well, Japanese oil company does not start to negotiate with Iran yet because of concern, American concern. Congress, waiting Congress conclusion. But China already started.
China keeps
already
strong
started
position.
investment.
So then the port construction and the metro construction, they put lots of money.
So 6 months later, it might be too late. Right?
It could very well be. Would not be the first time.
So then, but actually, the lifting of financial transaction that is necessary for Japanese people, Japanese business.
So
some European companies going ahead more, and also even interestingly, McDonald's of U.S. It is reported that they are prepared to move into to U.S. market, according to Iranian English business paper.
Could be successful.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming today in such large numbers, even though some of you have holidays.